What's up, gang? Emergency alert. I want to take a moment and bring you up to par what I believe is happening around the world. But first of all, I want to start off with saying, remember what I told you about the interest rate before the holidays? I said the Fed is going to start hiking the interest rates after the holidays, and they only lowered it because of Christmas. Guess what? I was right about that. Okay. Do you remember back in the days when I told you we are going to have civil war, civil unrest in America? We already seen part one with Trump. Now we're seeing part two with the Texas borders and with the new elections coming up. Okay. Do you remember back in the days when I told you we are heading into major war, when this thing hadn't even kicked off in Ukraine, hadn't kicked off in the Middle East? And I said that because of all the massive printing, because of the loss of the dollar, that the empire will have to go to war. Okay, they have to go to war because of the reset that was happening. Just look at our expenditure. Americans are broke, right? The government cities are broke. They're all in debt. The states are broke. They're in debt. The federal government has billions and trillions of dollars in debt. It has more debt than it produces in the economy, okay? But at the same time, we're giving away billions and billions of dollars to Israel, billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. And even though the average American doesn't have health care, the average American retirement is being washed away because of inflation. All the poor baby boomers that are now retired cannot even enjoy their retirement because inflation is just out of the control, okay? So that said, I want to kind of rewind back forward now what I think is going to be happening, okay? Things are getting very, 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 very crazy. As I stated before, we're already in a World War III. They're just not televising it, okay? I said that with Ukraine when it happened, and then we had a flip-off in the Middle East, and now we have America attacking multiple countries with airplane missiles, right? Multiple countries. And so we're in the midst of World War III. Now, the reason that they're not telling you on TV, the reason you're not feeling it is because you are not fighting the war. Your kids are not fighting the war. Your family members are not fighting the war. But very, very soon, I believe, in my opinion, that we are going to be in the front lines fighting the war. Okay? I honestly believe that, and I hope this doesn't happen, but I think that the world is going to attack America because we've been the world's bully. We've been the world's police. We've sanctioned so many different countries. We put hits on the economy of many different countries. We have overthrown many different countries from Latin America to the Middle East. We put our puppets in there. We've done all this crazy stuff. We've overthrown Iraq. We overthrown Afghanistan. I mean, just the list just goes on and on and on. And I think that we're at a crucial point where the world's starting to realize that the bully's starting to get weak. Right? They're starting to realize that we have the economic problem. They're starting to realize all this stuff. And I think in the near future, the world may just attack us because we're going to be us, Great Britain, maybe a couple of our allies, but the whole world is way bigger than us and NATO. Okay, the NATO countries maybe represent 40% of the world's population, or less, 35% of the world's population. So you're looking at 60 to 70% of the world's population not being in NATO, not being a Western country. And I think that we're getting into the stage, and the reason I say that is because I watch the news from all different countries. I watch the news from Korea, from China, from India, from Pakistan, from Iran, from El Salvador, from Venezuela. I love to listen to the news from all the other countries, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the people around the world are starting to look very frowningly on Americans. You know, they're tired of our BS. They're tired of us printing money. They're tired of the inflation that we cause. They're tired of our bullying. And I think that eventually, as this world continues, that the world will just attack us. And it seems like way out of the question, right? We're too strong. We're the empire. No one's going to attack us. But, you know, that's what surprises happen. That's exactly what Israel thought at the same time when, you know, the Arabs attacked them, you know, and overran their military complex, took their military guys. So, you know, I think that we're going to a place that enough countries are just going to line up people we've overthrown, people we sanction, people we freeze their assets, that enough and enough are going to get around and say, look, we're just going to attack America because we're tired of this empire. And I think we're definitely heading that way. At the same time, I think that the empire itself is going to crackle and disintegrate from the internal fighting, because unlike other countries, for example, if you look at Iran, everyone's Iranian. If you look at Mexico, everyone's Mexican, right? But only in America you have a melting pot of all these different cultures. You have Iranians, you have Mexicans, you have Latin Americans, you have Chinese, you have Koreans, you have all these different people all modulating into one country, America. And so I think that we're going to see the crackdown happen just like the Rome's. Like, history never fails. You know, the Rome's fell because of wars, overspending, and internal fighting, okay, and external fighting. And I think that same exact thing is going to happen to America. Actually, if you look at Americans, we love the Romans. Like, if you look at their guns, if you look at their knives, they always have the Romans helmet on there. And guess what? That exact Roman philosophy history is going to follow us to the grave, because whatever exactly the Romans did is exactly what we're doing, and whatever made them go belly up is exactly what's going to make us go belly up. This is just my opinion. So I think the world's going to attack us. At the same time, we're going to have internal fighting that's going to make America not be America anymore, unfortunately. Now, besides that, I think that we're going to have massive kinetic energy fighting going on, guys, okay? Right now, you're in Ukraine, they're trying to remove the top general because I'm assuming that he doesn't want to do all this crazy stuff that the president of Ukraine wants him to do. So they're going to remove them so they can go and attack more deeper into Russia. So guys, think about it. Russia's one of the biggest nuclear power, and now we have given them all kinds of weapons. We have given them all kinds of airplanes, all kinds of missiles. We're giving them data. We're giving them information. We're encouraging them to go deep into the country of Russia and attack their nuclear tripod, attack their ships, attack their infrastructure, their warehouses, and think about that. I mean, these are so many red lines that we would never imagine we would cross, you know, but we're constantly pushing and pushing, and Russia hasn't done anything. But one day they will, guys. One day they will, because there's only so much you can take before you leash out, okay? And I think that by the time that the Russians leash out, that the world's going to realize that NATO is a fluffy tiger, right? They're going to realize that NATO and America and Great Britain and Canada and Australia, they're so into debt. They have so much older population. The population is obese. They're not warriors, dude. They're not going to be able to go fight, right? Sure, everyone in America has guns, but they can't even run 10 feet before they're huff and puff, okay? Because of obesity, over 50-60% of the population obese. So when you consider people from here fighting with people that are lean and mean, well, you can physically imagine what's going to happen in a UFC, right? You got a fat guy, you got a fit guy. Who do you think is going to win, dude? Well, in a World War III, who do you think is going to win? Sure, we might have the most sophisticated weapons, this and that, but you can see in Ukraine that these sophisticated weapons break down all the time. They need major repairs, where the Russians are using analog weaponry that doesn't break down, that's more reliable, like the AK-47, guys, okay? One of the most reliable pistols firearms out there. So this is the situation. I think in the next few months, things are going to even ratchet up. Things are going to go even more ballistic, especially if, you know, Russia, we keep pushing the bear to they attack us. And I think that they've already threatened to destroy Poland's airspace that America or NATO uses to supply Ukraine, okay? So that means that they're now going to attack a NATO country. They've already said that multiple times, because they're saying, hey, these equipment that's coming and destroying our humans, our properties, our equipment are coming from a NATO country to Ukraine, okay? Now, one thing to think about is that on the news, we're constantly hearing Iranian-backed, these Iranian-backed Houthis. Well, what if the Russians start saying U.S.-backed Ukraine? Well, what if the Russians use the same exact logic that we use? Because America says that because Iran give weapons to the Houthis, we should attack them. What if the Russians say the same exact thing? They say, look, Americans giving the weapons to Ukraine, so therefore we should attack America. See, if they use the same exact logic, then we'll be pretty, jacked up. But I think in the very, very near future, guys, we're going more deeper into this chaos, guys. And I think that the war is coming to our own shores, okay? It could be from a civil war, or it could be other countries just attack us. Now, it sounds very, very foolish. We're so tough. We're so big. We all have guns. We're the biggest military. And that is the reason why I think that it will be the best plan that will surprise all of us, because none of us are thinking about that. None of us are thinking that we're so powerful, no one's going to come attack us. But I think that the world will eventually attack us. They'll come to our shores while we're having a civil war, while we're fending off World War III. So dangerous times ahead. A lot of people are saying that they should prep, which I totally agree, guys. There's food shortages going to be happening. I grew up in an era in Iran where I'm a war baby, where you would have to go wait in line a whole day, right, to get one chicken, right? I'm a war baby where, I remember being a kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, and hearing bombs drop, and you hear this big ass blast, and then you hear the ground shake, the windows shake. Okay, I remember that as a kid, as a war baby, right? So maybe this is the reason why I don't like wars, because I've seen what it can do as a kid, right? And I know there's a lot of tough guys in America with their guns, with their bellies hanging out, and they're like, yeah, man, let's go get them, let's send them to die. And it's not their fat asses they're going to go do the fighting. And there's going to be someone else's kid, and of course there's a lot of politicians, they're saying, they're beating the war drums, but it's not their kids going out there. It's going to be you, your brother, your sister, your friend, your cousin, your neighbor, that's going to go do the fighting for the rich old man, right? So things are getting really, really crazy. I think in the next few months, these are even going to get more crazier. And I think there is going to be shortage in America, guys. I just don't know how to put it, okay? There's just going to be shortage. If we hit on to war with China, then there's going to be shortage that we've never seen before. If we hit on to war with Iran, there's going to be the same exact shortage that we saw in the 70s and the 80s when there was no fuel at the gas pump, okay? That type of shortage, that type of price increase. And guys, last but not least, I want to talk about inflation. I mean, we're heading into hyperinflation, okay? I just don't know how to tell it to you, okay? Same thing with gas prices. I mean, people say, why is gas prices so low? Well, the market is insane. The market is not logical. We're at World War III. We're at war with the OPEC producing countries, right? The countries that can close the sea where the fuel doesn't come to America, right? To Europe, to Great Britain. And for gas prices to be so low, it just shows you the manipulation that the Fed, that the US government can do with the markets, okay? We're at war, prices are low. Fuel is so cheap. It's unbelievable, guys. It's unbelievable. But what I'm saying is not only is fuel going to go over $9 per gallon, but I'm also saying that we're going to have hyperinflation happen in America. Okay, right now with the Houthis, what they're doing, the cost of shipping has increased 2x to 3x. Okay, what do you think that means to your product? Okay, you may not see it today, but you will see it in a couple of months, guys. Okay, now you add the risk of price of fuel increasing. Well, guess what? You'll even increase inflation into hyperinflation. So when you go to the store, the price of things will just go up and up and up. There's no side of coming down. Let me give you a quick example, guys. In my business back in the days, we used to buy these plastic folding tables. We used to go to Costco, we go to Walmart. We used to buy these folding tables. I used to do, free move parties for the apartment complexes for realtors. And we would buy these desks. We buy them for $25. Today, the same exact folding desk is like $125, $150. Dude, that desk went from $25 to $125. So tell me, what is the percentage of that? Okay, it's not 100%, it's not 200%, it's not 300%, it's not 400% that it went up in price. This is hyperinflation. Some things may only gone up 2x, Some other things have gone up 5x, okay? Some things like TVs may have come down because they want you to sit down and watch TV versus about worrying about what's really going on. But end of the day, guys, I believe that we're going to hit hyperinflation. End of the day, I believe that we're already in a World War III. And I think end of the day, the world will attack America. I know it sounds crazy. We're the biggest gorilla in the room. But when you have 10 little chimpanzees, or 10 little monkeys, or 10 little whatever attacking one big guy, you can see that things are not going to go good, guys. Especially when we're having internal fighting among ourselves. Especially when half of our population is obese. Especially when half of our population is addicted to some kind of substance. Especially when, half of our population doesn't even know what sacrifice is, doesn't even know what discipline is. They're willing to just sign a dot to get the money. They don't even put the work in. They just sign something to give them the money and you pay us later. Well, other parts of the world, they don't operate like that. They actually do the work up front, then they get the stuff. Unlike America, right? So what I'm trying to say is we've all been so pampered and so lazy and fat and slobby and soft that all the parts of the world are not like that. There's a lot of tough dudes. There are men out there. Like if you look at Russia, there are men out there. They're not wearing skinny pants and blah, blah, blah. They're actually men. Right? In America, it's hard to figure out who's a man and who's a woman. You can see a girl next to you and she could be a man, but she looks like a girl, right? I mean, today you have Wonder Woman, like you're wondering if this is a woman or not. So this is what we're living with in America, but in other countries, they're not having that. So I think that, guys, things are going to go very, very south and sour for us in America, from price inflation to internal fighting, all the way to the world attacking us. Unfortunately, this is what I see, and hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully I'm dead wrong, but unfortunately I've been right about so many things. I remember when I told you guys that gold's going to rocket up back in 2016 when gold was $1,100. Everyone was laughing at me. I remember when Bitcoin was all-time high, and I said, look, guys, Bitcoin is going to crash between 12,000 to 7,000, and it did flash crash to 15,000. Okay, I didn't take credit for it, but I have nailed a lot of different stuff on here. I told you guys that we're going to have civil unrest in America many moons before 2016, right? 2017, and guess what? It happened, right? I told you that, guys, we're going into a world war, okay? Before Ukraine happened, because of all the money printing, all the money printing. When your empire is losing, then the next thing is wars, guys, okay? So I've been right on so many different things. I hope I'm not right about this one, but unfortunately, I think that there's a high probability that we're having hyperinflation. There's a high probability that we're having civil war in America. There's a high probability that the world will attack us. And there's a high probability that we're not going to live the way we used to, guys. There will be shortages in America. The era of cheap electricity, era of cheap Walmart stuff is over, especially if you go into kinetic energy with China. Now, one thing I want to help you think about before I close this off is, guys, that Chinese are making products for the world to use. America is only making weapons for the world to be destroyed. So think about that. The Chinese economy, they're producing all kinds of stuff for the world to use to build on, where America is the number one exporter of weapons around the world. So think about that, guys. They keep saying the Chinese are bad. Well, they're building stuff for us to have a better life, where in America, we're building stuff to destroy life. So think about that, guys. Last but not least, guys, if you're interested in real estate, you're interested in seller financing, I'm having a flash course, flash sale at the link below. Go to myrealestatedojo.com and you can have access to that. Thank you so much. Click the like button. Don't take no for an answer. Peace.